Hello and welcome to the cover story section of Horizon, the videos in of JM Financial Services Limited. And today we are going to talk about a revolution that's coming. And this revolution is in the manufacturing sector in the Indian economy. Yes, we are talking about a scheme that the government of India came up with, PLI or Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Now, what is the scheme about? The objective that the government of India started with was to take India to the $5 trillion mark. The Indian GDP size or the size of the total economy is to be taken to $5 trillion, making India, which is already one of the leading economies in the world, a few notches up. And in order to do that, while services have done a reasonably good job, we have always been an agrarian economy, but somewhere manufacturing did not grow at the pace at which it could have grown like many other countries. Manufacturing is another sector which also provides employment to a lot of people. So if we are able to grow manufacturing and because of that enhance the growth of the economy, it would be easier to reach that 5 trillion mark faster. This particular scheme, Production Linked Incentive, is aimed exactly at that. So let's take a quick look at the incentives. And mind you, the objective is to promote manufacturing in India. It is not manufacturing by Indian companies alone. Okay. So the incentives include certain tax rebates, certain concessions in the import duties of whenever components are involved, or the export duties when the finished goods are to be exported. In order to set up facilities, when land has to be acquired under the PLI scheme, for land acquisition, favorable terms would be offered to these businesses. So essentially, acquisition of land, and then once the business is set up and production starts, the incentives would be linked to the production, and that brings in the element of accountability. But one important thing in this case is the incentives are not to enhance the profitability of these companies. Eventually these incentives have to be passed on in some manner to the end consumer, the consumer who buys the products manufactured by these companies. And to that extent, it's not about making the businesses richer, it is about making the products more affordable. And that combination of multiple incentives and better affordability is likely to drive the growth further. So what has been the successes so far? What have been the misses so far? Apple and Foxconn announced setting up of manufacturing facilities in India. That was one of the earliest international setup that tried to take the advantage of this particular scheme. The next one was another giant in the electronics industry, the Korean company Samsung. Samsung Electronics was the other entrant in, not in exactly that sense, but somebody who tried to benefit out of this PLI. Talking about the same electronic and IT sectors, Microtech Processors, another player. And on the medical equipment side, the Wipro GE Medical Services, or Wipro GE Healthcare as it is known. But then there are a few other companies which are from different sectors other than mobiles, technology, and then IT services. But then there are many other players who came from other than mobile, IT, computer, electronics industries. And some of the names are pretty known: Hindustan Unilever, ITC, Nestle from the FMCG space. From textile space, there are players like Welspun and Arvind Limited. They have enhanced their capacities. And from the automobile sector, Tata Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra. Pharma sector, our own success stories, the likes of Biocon or Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. They have taken advantage of enhancing their manufacturing facilities. And last but not the least, Reliance Industries. So when you look at the companies which have tried to take benefit of it, these are giant, well-established, successful companies in most cases. And when you look at the numbers, slightly old data from DPIIT, the goods produced by 2022-23 was roughly 9 lakh crores. A little less than 7 lakh new jobs were created through this scheme. Look at the numbers further. Mobile phones in a particular has been a great success story, and India was one of the largest importers of mobile phones. In the year 2016-17, India manufactured mobile phones worth roughly 90,000 crores, out of which 1% was export. Fast forward to 2021-22, production figure which was 90,000 crores in 2016-17 jumped to 275 lakh crores, a little more than 3 times. But the export component, which was at 1% of that 90,000 crores, jumped to 16% of 275,000 crores. So while we were large importer of mobile phones, while imports may continue, but we also enhance the exports out of India. This is likely to, cross that 20% mark, and maybe eventually it'll keep growing further. So export as a total percentage of goods produced in the mobile sector is likely to go to 22-25%. And of course, the total value is again going to cross $9 billion. So mobile phones has been one of the greatest success stories under this scheme. So the other notable success stories have come from the pharma industry, medical devices, and food products. Having said that, there are a few places where there has been no takeoff, and that's been one of the greatest criticisms of this scheme. Something like a specialty steel, auto and components, drone and components, or even white goods. There is either no takeoff or very slow takeoff. At the same time, the other criticism is that mediocre players may set up facilities, or inexperienced players, inexperienced in those particular industries, inexperienced players may come and set up facilities to take advantage of the incentives. And if that happens, it is a potential risk. So while there are successes, there are criticisms. There are hits, there are misses. But this is a beginning. The first step has been taken, and it's now up to both the government and the industry to take this initiative forward to ensure that this becomes a success, because the success of PLI only means success of India. Looking forward to brighter days in the manufacturing sector, the way we've seen it in the services sector. Thank you so much.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.